Hi, I'm Ryan, and I created Nyched. When was the last time you felt like you were unencumbered? You felt free? A lot of times we get just pushed into the next thing, and then by the end of the day, we're exhausted and we haven't taken any time for ourselves. We then sit down at the end of the day and get sucked into the scrolling vortex, or we turn on the television and get sucked into the binging vortex, and we never truly make time to regenerate and recuperate. We never make time for ourselves. Nyched aims to get us back into the real world, doing things that center around our interests and our hobbies and our passions, things that naturally recharge us, things that get us back into the mindset of being able to do the things that we have to do. Play is crucial for us to be able to function as human beings, to be able to be out in the world and enjoying and having a baseline of sanity. I was watching my kids the other day play, and really it's just my daughter. I couldn't help but smile and laugh at the, freedom she had just in herself to go and jump around and explore and imagine. And I was thinking to myself, that's amazing. And sometimes I lose sight of that. Sometimes I'm so task-oriented that it's like next thing, next thing, next thing. And I don't get the opportunity to interact with my internal creativity. Kids build forts and they run around and they imagine different scenarios, and that just fuels creativity as a child. And it's one of the ways they learn because their minds are so active at that age. But it's also something that, society hampers, and especially digital, online society hampers for sure. We're driven to kowtow to the algorithm to try and get views. And if it's not entertaining and it doesn't capture people's attention immediately, then the algorithm doesn't promote it at all. And as adults, we have different responsibilities too. We have work and family and feeding the kids and feeding ourselves and being able to get to sleep enough and then get to the next day not feeling overwhelmed. So we've lost that a lot as society, the ability to just stop and take a breath and take a minute and play. And I was just in awe of my kids' ability to do it so naturally. A lot of times, in a lot of senses, looking to kids to, reinvigorate that type of creativity is an awesome thing. It's an awesome way to get us to engage with healthier activities and getting outside to actually play. Having the ability to play is crucial, not only on the personal level, but on the interpersonal level. Being able to detach from the seriousness and actually take some time to enjoy things with other people and by ourselves is immensely beneficial. When we play, our bodies create endorphins. When we detach from screens, we are boosted in our ability to think and be creative. And when there's physical elements to play, it boosts our physical health, not just our mental well-being. When you incorporate play, which is kind of the original form of gamification, you have an easier time to create those habits that you're looking to create over time. Getting out in the real world and actually doing some things is extremely important for you, and it's extremely important for those around you. With entertainment at our fingertips constantly, at a moment's notice, we could be being entertained by something online. It's difficult to make time for play. If we didn't have phones, we would be doing things. We would be doing interests instead of consuming that type of stuff. And it's kind of a double-edged sword because the people creating content are technically doing things, but they're doing things at the mercy of the algorithm. They're doing things to get attention, and the way you do that is through an algorithm promoting that type of stuff. We see the best parts of people's lives online because nobody takes a picture of, the terrible thing that is going on that day and post it online. Obviously, there's people of all walks of life. I personally don't put the bad stuff online. I'm usually putting the good stuff online. but I also try to be real and realistic. So I don't post a whole heck of a lot online anymore. And a lot of it's become just memeing, I just post the thing that I thought was funny. And that then creates heated debates with people, which to me is kind of comical because it's just something that people thought were funny, and then people have opinions about them. Instead of doing that, if we had society restructured around the things that actually interest us, which is how it is when we're interacting with our interests, right? Think about any team sport. You're not there because of your political or religious affiliation. You're there because you love soccer, and you guys can have a relationship and friendship based on loving soccer. The digital world does not encourage us to get outside and go do things. It encourages us to stay on our phones, stay engaged. We need to shift away from the digital in some way. Now, technology is great, but when it's not used ethically, it's not something that's benefiting our lives or benefiting the world. And there's no platform out there that is doing that is focused on that, except for Nyched. This video is sponsored by Nyched. Nyched is changing the world, and it's a completely different type of platform. And the way it's doing that is by starting at its base with the most important part of any type of app. And that's not the technology, it's not the way you interface with it, it's not how cool the colors are or what type of functionality there is. It's you, it's the user, it's the person watching this video and the people who end up using the app. We did something crazy. We took away the algorithm, we took away gatekeepers, and we put the ownership in your hands. You get to choose what you see and what you don't see, and what you interact with and what you don't interact with, just like it is in the real world. How amazing of a world could we live in where you would have an experience unlike anybody else's experience on the platform? Look, if any of this is interest to you, I ask you to go to resistthealgorithm.com to learn more. Consider joining the beta. I want to thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me that you're even watching this video. When we get outside and we interact with play, and that can be as simple as going for a walk or, just hanging out in your backyard, it reduces mental fatigue, it increases creativity, and it helps us pay attention more when we're trying to do the other tasks that we're trying to do. I find when I detach from the digital world and I actually go and do something out in the real world, it helps me to clarify any task I'm working on. Most of us can relate to a point in time where we get stuck on something, where we don't know what the right way forward is, whether that be with work or family or, a project we're working on. And I find detaching is far more beneficial than allowing myself to get stuck in the time loop that is social media and the digital realm. I love hiking personally, and you guys have seen me out in the woods in all these videos a lot of the time. Most of my day I sit behind a computer and I'm programming or I'm editing videos. So it's especially important in this digital world that we live in to get out and to actually do something outside. Setting up time on the schedule to go on some sort of an adventure, a road trip where you get waypoints throughout the way and you make stops, that's way better than getting sucked into sitting on the couch all weekend. I'm guilty of this too. But the benefits of getting outside, if it's something you're not used to, are hard to put into words. I know for me personally, it reduces my stress and my anxiety, and it just makes me feel like I'm more connected to myself. I'm more connected to the things that are most important to me. It allows me to be a better husband and friend and father, all in one shot. Think about relationships you have, your girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad, friend, general friend, right? Think about those. And guys, I think get this because we're constantly joking around and we're constantly just screwing with one another. And we do play in those situations and we are playful in those situations. But when you lose that element, it erodes trust in the relationship and it takes away from the reason why you wanted to be there with those people in the first place. And a lot of times relationships, especially romantic relationships, get to this point where you're just doing the next thing on the calendar and you haven't taken time by yourselves to actually be playful, to interact with those things that allow you to be creative inside of the relationship. Think about work. Work has to be fun in order for it to be enriching in your life. And your work has to be enriching in order for you to want to do it every single day. And if you don't have fun and you don't be playful at work, then it's hard to trust someone you have to collaborate with. I think we've all been on projects before where it's like, I don't think that guy is trying to help the company or help the goal that we have. I think they're trying to help themselves. So inside of relationships, it's paramount for that to be there. Otherwise, I think relationships end. If you don't have those points of actually interacting and having fun with one another, you probably don't think of them. They don't come top of mind when you want to hang out with someone again. So they're not relationships that tend to last. They're not relationships where you have a great deal of trust in that person when you can't see that they can be creative and engage and thoughtful about how they're interacting with you or how you're interacting with them. Algorithms put us in a position where we are forced to casually consume information. Really, it's taking our control out of the decision-making process. It's putting the algorithm first and foremost, and we don't have a choice of what we see next and what comes up in our feed. And when you remove the human element from our lives and our existence, the human ability to choose and to discern information, what is good, what is not good, it automatically puts us into a position where we feel like we're out of control, which is not really a great place to be in. When you contrast that with being out in the real world and the choice of, do I go here today or do I go there today? And any other decisions we're making, and the uniqueness that is humanity, that's something that's completely lost online. We don't get that. We get a, ghost of that. We get the illusion that we have that because the algorithm does learn and it's not always wrong. And it, trips the endorphin trigger that we want a lot of the time. But getting outside and playing and getting into the real world and doing a sport in a rec league or taking your kids to a park. When was the last time that you actually did something like that for yourself? I'd highly encourage you, if you have a calendar, put some time on your calendar to take some time for yourself. Especially here in the West, we're very fortunate to have parks and state parks and national wildlife areas and all sorts of things that are at our disposal, mostly for free most of the time. And so many people don't take advantage of that. The first step in my mind to playing in the real world is actually going outside. It doesn't have to be outside, but it's hard not to be in a playful mindset if you're not outside. If you're thinking, how do I do this with others around me? Just talk to them, be honest. Like, I feel like I can't do this. I've gone to my wife so many times and said, this is how I feel. I know it's not true, but this is how I feel, and that definitely affects me. And usually she says, well, when is the last time you took a break? And I think about it for a second, and I'm like, well, it was the 8th of October in 2022. And she's like, well, you might want to go take a break. And she makes time for me to do that. Or we make time together as a family to go do that. Find communities of people where they have interests of yours. Get away from screens. Get out in the real world. Go do something that you haven't been able to do for a while or that you've been thinking you wanted to do. It's so important to be able to engage. Play is crucial in the lives of every single individual. It benefits you, the people around you, the people you live near, your country, the world. Now that may sound like an exaggeration, but the more each and every one of us are living at peace with ourselves, it gives us the ability to live at peace with others. And if that won't affect the world, I don't really know what does. It lowers our anxiety. It gives us more creativity. It gives us the ability to think and dissect complex problems that we're dealing with. And I want a lot more of that in the world. Online algorithms, they don't solve this problem. They don't give us an avenue or space to do this because they're driving the ship. We got on board and they're driving it where they want to. We're out of control in those situations. We don't have creativity. We don't have the ability to think critically about things that are coming across our plate, because the next one is only a swipe away. Nyched is the solution to this, and if it's not Nyched, something else is the solution to this, but the current state of things online is not it. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it's totally within your control. To learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have a perspective on anything I've talked about here today, or you want to share a story about play, leave a comment below. It is my favorite part, getting to interact with each and every one of you. And if you want to see more, stay tuned, because the next video is coming up right now.